Darwin taught us many things about evolution, but there is one tree that he did not climb. With this series, we seek to answer these questions and unravel the mysteries of Hello and welcome to another episode of Evolution of a Noob with Sour Peppers. Today we're going to take a look at armor in particular, because one thing that I find rather frustrating about World of Tanks is in the game there isn't any way that you can actually see, the armor composition in detail of the individual tanks. So it's a yes, I had this friendly little, probably maybe a little bit too friendly Lux who thought it'd give me a bit of a push for the first part of this match. Much obliged. But yeah, so an armor, knowing weak spots and where to hit other tanks, and there's a lot of special exceptions and everything, is extremely important if you want to be successful at this game. So when we encounter tanks, I'll show you a little bit of the armor makeup of that tank in detail as we go along. Anyways, we're moving up here into the town. I've still got my Lux giving me a little push. A little friendly push. We have a few tanks popping up on the south side of town. Of course, nothing I can get a shot at yet. This guy really stuck with me for a while. I commend him for his efforts at making me go a few kilometers faster than I would otherwise be doing. Alright, now we've got a KV, no, we got a Panzer IV, a Matilda, and a Hetzer. Or at least we had a Panzer IV. Now we're gonna be... Alright now, settle down, settle down. You did your duty. Alright, well we have no shots coming in this way. Looks pretty secure. We do have that VK enter alpha numeric name here, H. Ricochet off of his tracks, it looks like. He's backing out. But let's take a look at some good places to hit him if I get another chance. Now we see the armor rating in a range between 0 and 120. The lower glacis looked like the weakest spot at around 40-50 millimeters. Now if you want to go take a look at that in more detail, you can go back and pause it if you want. Got this T-34, doesn't know what he's doing. We're going to come down this alleyway, try and push south towards their cap. Now we've lost contact range with our teammates towards our cap, so I don't really know what's going on over there. And we're about to come into contact with this KV-85 right around this corner. So let's take a look at this. Now we've got in between a range of 0 to 100. Lower glacis is a good spot to get in at around 60 millimeters. However, it is slightly angled, so it's going to be a bit more than 60 millimeters. However, this tank can do between 100 and some millimeters of penetration. It's not the greatest penetrating gun. It is the 57 millimeter or 6-pounder with between 110 and 180 millimeters of penetration. Now the Churchill tank was pretty much, if not one of the last tanks in the whole British idea of an infantry tank, a slow tank with thick armor that can go around the same pace as infantry and help take out machine gun nests and other infantry impeding things. Although it was known to have a number of issues early in its development, they eventually got ironed out pretty quickly, and it became a pretty useful asset in the British military, particularly for its amazing ability to climb extremely steep slopes. Although the one weakness that the Churchills had up until the Black Prince was its gun. Originally mounted with the 2-pounder, I believe, it was originally then upgraded to the 6-pounder, which weren't very good at engaging tanks like the Tiger tank or even the later Panzer IVs. Now at the moment we're heading south, there was a warning that somebody was in the cap, but it seems like they've got it under control for now. So we'll go support these two heavies, although there is some stuff popping up near the cap circle and they are going to start capping again. So let's turn around and we will start heading back there as quickly as we can. Which isn't particularly fast in a Churchill 3. This particular Churchill is the Soviet variation of it, the ones that were lend-lease to the Soviets during the war. Now we've got a KV-2 coming up, which is a pretty deadly adversary. As you can see, we've got between 0 and 115 millimeters armor. Best bet is probably the lower glacis, but it's gonna be sketchy. But we gotta get up through here and start getting some fire on whoever's in the cap circle. KV-2 on the right. See if we can get a shot on him. Just a general centered shot. Okay, we gotta get up through here and start heading to the cap circle where we got KV-2 and we have two tanks firing at us from that way. I have to back up, otherwise I'm just gonna die. My best bet is to go around so I can engage the KV-2 on its own, but it doesn't look like we're gonna make it. And now I thought, oh, that's kind of weird. But, you know, it's World of Tanks, things happen. But then I get back into my garage and I'm doing a few things, and then I notice there's a chat window blinking in the bottom left. So I open it, and it's this guy again, basically being like, why didn't you reset the cap? Blah, 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 blah. Without actually, obviously, he said he was watching while I was doing it, but obviously he wasn't paying much attention, because otherwise he would clearly see the situation that was presented to me. Now, let's just for a second set aside that no matter how much somebody annoyed me in game, I wouldn't be so pathetic as to start talking to them afterwards about it. But I thought I would talk to him. I'd talk to him about the tank tactics involved and what happened. And of course the minute I started going into detail, and he just sort of disappeared. Now, let's just take a closer look at what happened in those last seconds of that game. Alright, so we're coming through here. We know that the KV-2 is over there. There is some houses in the way, but if we go much further, he will be able to fire on us. We are starting to be fired on by two different tanks from an unknown position from my 10 o'clock. They're hitting my turret, my weak spot. I can't take much more of that. I have to back out. Even if I kept going, they would do so much damage. By the time the KV-2 got a shot at me, it would be an instant kill. So, nice voices. So what I thought I'd do is back out, turn around, and go the other way and see if I can engage the KV-1 or the KV-2 by itself and hopefully hit the person in the cap circle. Now, if there wasn't enough time, that's unfortunate, but I would much rather do something smart instead of just going out into a field pointlessly committing suicide, because I would not be able to get in visual range of the person in the cap circle before I got knocked out. So, that's it. People should really think carefully about a situation that they're trying to analyze, especially when they're in a situation of disappointment and anger from losing a match. I was pretty upset too. It was a close game. We could have won that. But if you want to report me for what was in many ways a no-win situation, then go ahead. That's what it's there for. Anyways, we've got another match in the Valentine AT. And this one is sort of contrast to the last video. Anyways, we're moving up along this side. We've got some trigger-happy guy who feels like blowing up some cars. Now, the Valentine AT was just pretty much just an experimental tank. They only made a few prototypes until the project was cancelled in favor of another tank destroyer design. So there really isn't much to say about it. This one, right now I have mounted with a 57mm or 6-pounder gun, which has between 105 and 170mm of penetration. However, not a lot of damage. Now we're moving up here. We've got a BT-7 who's poking his nose out. We get a hit on him. He pulls back. Although we've got a lot of guys here crowding in, it's not the greatest situation. But I'll keep an eye on it for just a little while longer. But no, these two guys seem like they have it covered over here, so let's go the other way and support our friends on the other side of the map, because it looks like there's some enemies coming in. We have some across the way. gonna see if I can get a shot at them from through here, but I don't think I'll be able to. Now, if you're interested to check out the website where I got all the diagrams for the armor on the different tanks, I will leave the link in the description for you guys to check out. I would highly recommend looking at it. It'll really help in your gameplay. One thing that's crucial to know in World of Tanks, and this is a pretty basic thing, and someone's shooting at me from behind. BT7, we'll have to deal with that. But angling your armor is an extremely important part of the game, and being able to find flat surfaces on an enemy target that is angled towards you can give you a massive edge. So knowing those weak spots and where they are weak at what certain angles will help you out a lot. Now we're still holding this side here. We got quite a few enemies coming down here. I don't want to get flanked, so I'm not going to keep going west. Managed to deal with the onslaught for the immediate time being, but we have more coming down here. So let's hold up here and face the onslaught. Just pull up carefully behind this mound, try and angle my armor as best I can. Not that it does much good, it's only 15 millimeters on the gun plate, around 30 on the bottom half of the chassis. Exchanging some fire with these two light tanks. They have done some damage. Just pull up to make sure that there aren't any left. And we have that T-60 pull out, and now he's gone. Now it scores 8-6. It could certainly still go either way pretty easily. We've got lots of people guarding over here, so let's now try and work our way west and help them out on the other side of the map. Now this isn't the greatest tank destroyer, but I've been having quite a bit of fun in it. I enjoy working with tanks that a lot of people don't really think are great. It's sort of more of a challenge to work with. And I like this gun. Okay, we got a cruiser here. We can just maybe hit his commander's hatch. Nice. Yeah, we only have a view of that commander's hatch, but it still does damage. And I sort of hate that. Like in War Thunder, if you hit the commander's hatch, it's probably more realistic as to what would actually happen. Although shrapnel coming down through the commander's hatch could still do a lot of damage, come to think of it. And it does happen in War Thunder as well. There are times that a well-placed hatch shot can take out a number of your crewmates. Okay, we've got somebody at the cap, so we got to turn around and start heading back there. I don't want a repeat of last time. Of course, another slow vehicle lumbering on back. We have somebody coming on my left, but to be honest, I just need to... No, we're going to have to turn around and deal with this. There's no ignoring it. Little Japanese tank. Thankfully, his attention wasn't on me as he was coming around the corner, and I was trying to turn around. So by the time his turret was facing me, I already had shots out at him. Now we have this guy who is in the cap, and we managed to reset, which will ensure our win. And we managed to take him out as well. So that was it was a good win. It was compensation for last game. Ended up getting a medal for resetting the cap and a few other things. Fire for effect. And number 1 with 652 damage, which in these matches, I'm not going to complain, I'm pretty happy. So, on that note, good night.